Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Unlike the politicians and other important people, we don't have a screen in front of us, so I have to follow the script on paper. So I will start reading, but before that, I wanted to thank you all for being here. This is a great day for CE. We're celebrating the accomplishments of our colleagues, and so it's a great day for us. It's my great honor and pleasure to welcome you to the investiture ceremony for Youssef Hashash as the Grainger Distinguished Chair in Engineering, Ximing Cai as the Ben Chie Professor, and Erol Tutumluer as the Abel Bliss Professor in Engineering. I'm Ana Barros, and I'm the Department Head for Civil and Environmental Engineering. We are here today to celebrate three of our best faculty members. We are eager to recognize them today for all that they have accomplished and all that they will continue to do for CE and the college for years to come. Let me begin by introducing you to some very special people who are here to share in this memorable occasion, the family and guests of our honored faculty members. Accompanying Youssef today is his wife, So-Young Kim, and I heard his daughters are online and the rest of the family, and so we say hi to everyone. Accompanying Ximing today are his daughter, Ximing Cai, and his son, Jonathan Cai. And their mother is elsewhere, but she's with us in spirit. And accompanying Erol today is his wife, Erol Tutumluer. We also have the distinct honor of having with us Dr. Ruth Chie, who established the Ben Chie Professorship with us today. Ruth, we are very excited to have you here for this momentous occasion, and we're very grateful for your generosity. And so now I'm going to introduce Kevin Jackson, the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education. Considering the importance of named professorships and chairs to the University of Illinois, it is fitting that we begin this ceremony with remarks from a university perspective. We are honored to have with us Kevin Jackson, Vice Provost for Undergraduate Education. As the Vice Provost, Kevin provides campus-wide leadership in the area of undergraduate education, including setting the strategic directions for the undergraduate experience at Illinois, supporting innovation in classroom and in online instruction, and encouraging interdisciplinary initiatives in curriculum and pedagogy.
Well, I'm also an accounting professor, so I consider myself king of the nerds. Thank you, Dr. Barros. I'm honored to be here today representing the Office of the Provost as we celebrate the investitures of three of our colleagues, Youssef Hashash, Ximing Cai, and Erol Tutumluer. Distinguished chair appointments and named professorships are among the most significant milestones in the career of a faculty member and in the academic world. So we are here to acknowledge and celebrate together as friends, family, and colleagues the notable accomplishments of the three honorees we will recognize today. Appointments such as the Grainger Distinguished Chair, the Ben Chie Professorship, and the Abel Bliss Professorship truly recognize the distinction of excellent faculty while also providing invaluable support for their scholarly activities. And with appointments such as these also comes some scholarly freedom, the outcome of which can benefit and impact our university, our communities, and beyond. This is just one way in which the university is grateful for named appointments. As a university, We also value these appointments because they serve in both recruiting and retaining the very best scholars. Our extraordinary faculty at Illinois are what makes this institution a preeminent university. So we are grateful for the investment in our faculty, our university, and the future that donors make through these named appointments. I want to offer a special thank you to Dr. Ruth Chie, for being here today to speak on the Ben Chie Professorship. I look forward to hearing more on the accomplishments of our honorees throughout today's program. On behalf of the University of Illinois, I offer our professors being invested today our sincere congratulations.
So before we move on to the investing of our valued colleague, and we're going to start with Youssef Hashash, I'd like first to share how this appointment came to be. Grainger Distinguished Chairs in Engineering are made possible by the Grainger Engineering Breakthroughs Initiative, GABI, the result of a $100 million investment in the Grainger College of Engineering by the Grainger Foundation. The GABI supports multi- and interdisciplinary study and provides a springboard for groundbreaking projects by allowing the college to invest in strategic priorities, including faculty chairs and named professorships, undergraduate scholarships, facilities and infrastructure, and research support. Grainger Distinguished Chair appointments have helped the college to recruit and retain world-class faculty and contribute to our elite science and engineering program. I would now like to invite Imad Al-Qadi, the Grainger Distinguished Chair in Engineering and Director of the Illinois Center for Transportation, to the podium to speak on behalf of Youssef.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today celebrating some of the best faculty that we have in the Grainger College of Engineering. So today I have the distinct honor of introducing to you all my colleague, Youssef Hashash, Grainger Distinguished Chair in Engineering. Youssef is so deserving of this honor, and I say this with the confidence of someone who known Youssef both personally and professionally for just shy of 2 decades. I have known Youssef for almost 18 years. In fact, he was one of the first people I met when I joined the University of Illinois in 2004. We became friends quickly, and I will always be grateful to him and his family for helping me and my wife and my kids to get acquainted with the town. In those 18 years, we have been fortunate enough to work together on several projects and committees. And in those years, I have watched Youssef excel in his career and seen his passion in the work that he has been doing. And by passion of his work, I mean that I can honestly say I'm not sure that I have ever met a bigger nerd in my life than Youssef. Youssef got his start in civil engineering at an early age, following his father's steps, who is a hydrologist. And he works with him during the summer in the geotechnical projects. I had the pleasure to meet his dad, whom I admire, and I met him several times. And I think Youssef got a lot from his dad, except 2 things. His dad is a little more handsome, and still he's full of, or his head is full of hair. Youssef then went into receiving his degree, all his degrees, bachelor, master's, and PhD from MIT. After 5 years of working with industry on major projects, he joined UIUC. At Illinois, Youssef expanded his interest in underground infrastructure to earthquake engineering and applications of technologies such as artificial network, remote sensing, and wireless data acquisition. He has collaborated with colleagues from different departments within the Grainger College of Engineering, including computer science, electrical engineering, as well as the National Center for Supercomputing Applications, and so on. In addition, he has served as a consultant for several major companies and on several projects like the Boston Tunnel, the Los Angeles Metro, and many others. What makes Youssef a truly special engineer is the human behind the technical expert. I will always remember our trip to Chile after the major earthquake in 2010. We were both part of a forensic team that went from University of Illinois that was deployed to assess the earthquake impact. During that trip, Youssef's knowledge, organization, and meticulous approach not only stood out, but they were a testament to his commitment to use his knowledge to help ensure greater understanding and how to protect people in the future from such events. His research often extends to building infrastructure in response to extreme events such as earthquakes, flooding, hurricanes, and other disasters. He has been part of multiple post-disaster inspection teams traveling around the world to understand the impact on infrastructure and identify knowledge gaps that then become springboards for new research projects. For example, he joined the team to evaluate damage and gather data on the Port of Beirut explosion that took place a couple of years ago. And he co-led the geotechnical project investigation in the collapse of the Champlain Tower South in Surfside in Florida, and he's still working on this project. Combining his experience in academia and the industry, Youssef has developed tools and procedures that are now extensively used by his peers and practitioners around the world. He and his team at Illinois, which is the Mid-America Earthquake Center, developed the Deep Soil, a software used worldwide to predict the ground's response to earthquakes. Closer to home, Youssef recently developed guidelines for horizontal directional drilling for the use in the state of the Illinois and supported by the Illinois Center for Transportation. After the report was published, we received requests from Europe in order to reprint the outcome of his work. Youssef has received numerous awards and achievements throughout his career, including the Presidential Early Young Investigator Early Career Award for scientists and engineers. He also served as the president of the American Society of Civil Engineers for Geotechnical, or the Geotechnical Institute. He also received the Ralph Beck Award. The election to the National Academy of Engineers last year was a big milestone in his career. This honor recognizes the tremendous impact that a recipient has had on their respective field. He has mentored over 28 doctoral students, and his impact also extends to generations of students who are now in leading positions in academia, industry, and something we can argue is one of our most important roles as a faculty. And as we celebrate Youssef today, I want also to extend that celebration to his wife, Sue, and his children, who could not be with us today, Sarah and Dina. They are amazing children, and both they are following the path of their dad and their mother in the higher education. I know that they are his biggest support, and he would attribute his success to their love and devotion. Youssef, we are proud to have you as a colleague at the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. This recognition is significant, it is well-deserved, and I'm confident that more is yet to come. On behalf of your civil and environmental engineering colleagues, the Grainger College of Engineering, congratulations. You truly deserve the best, and we thank you for your commitment to this profession. Thank you.
Thank you, Imad. And I would now like to invite Dean Rashid Bashir, Dean of the Grainger College of Engineering, to the podium for the official investing. Youssef. Yes.
Okay, you can come and stand. I'm going to make some remarks. Okay.
Yes.
No, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. As you have heard me say this before, but these events, especially these investitures, are really just some of the best events that we have, and some of the highlights of the college. We often, Philippe and I, talk about how we have all these other meetings with the provost office about budget and other things. So this meeting, these events rank way, way much higher than any of our other important meetings that we have. I'm just really so happy today with this investiture for our 3 esteemed colleagues from our great Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. What has always really fascinated me and inspired me from this department, it's really the faculty and the tremendous impact they've had. So this combination of not just the very, very deep scholarship and the sense of quality and excellence, and recognizing that excellence is not a destination, it's a journey. It's something we have to keep pursuing and keep at it. I mean, this is across our college, but certainly this department, I think, really, really understands that. And I think the 3 individuals today that are being recognized also truly understand that, so I really appreciate it. This idea of not just the deep scholarship, but then the translation to practice and the impact on the practice. So this is also something really important that I think we all need to continue to, of course, inculcate into our students as well, that it is just not about publishing the papers, but it is about making that impact and that impact on the world. So there's so much that exists today in the physical and the virtual world that this department has had an impact on, and the past faculty, and these 3 that are being recognized today. I think that's what's really inspiring to all of us. I also want to, by the way, pass a special message to all 3 of our faculty today, but especially also Youssef as well. This morning, I had a meeting with the Grainger Foundation. This morning, I was in Chicago, and I told them that we have this event today, and we are investing in one more for Grainger faculty. So they did pass their congratulations to all 3 of you, but also to you, Youssef. I also want to just take a couple of minutes. I've actually known Youssef for a long time, so I think we all know about his professional, of course, excellence, but I've known, I think, maybe as much or longer than perhaps his wife. I've known him for over 3 decades. We were in the Bay Area at the same time when we were working before coming back to academia. Youssef was there after MIT had gone to San Francisco to work at a company, and I'd graduated from Purdue, and I was in the Bay Area working at National, and we ran into each other through just a group of friends, and then we stayed connected since then. So it's been over 3 decades. And I think his sense of, again, the sense of impact and a very thoughtful approach to everything in life, and being a great friend to me and my family, both of them, both Sue and Youssef, and their daughters, wonderful daughters. Their daughters did something very special that everyone still remembers, where they gave an investiture speech for him. So that was a great way to remember that event, and I think we'll all remember that, where his 2 daughters got up and actually gave his investiture speech. So I want to thank you, Youssef, for everything you've done for the college, for the department, and for the world. And also for me and for all of us being a great advisor over the years, over many, many things. Thank you, Sue, and thank you, Youssef. It is my great privilege and honor to perform the official investing of Professor Youssef Hashash as a Grainger Distinguished Chair in Engineering. The investiture as a Grainger Distinguished Chair is one of the highest honor that a faculty member here can receive, and today's investiture certainly reflects that dignity. On behalf of the Grainger College of Engineering, let me say again how extremely proud, Youssef, we are of you and your accomplishments. And we know you're only midway through your career, so there's a lot more to come. Youssef has been on our faculty for 23 years, a recognized leader, as was already mentioned by Ahmad, in geotechnical engineering community. The software Deep Soil has become industry standard. And again, he's published many, many foundational papers, and still one go-to reference is the one published 20 years ago on seismic design and analysis of underground structures. Went and looked at that paper, actually. Of course, last year, we're really, really proud that he was also inducted in the National Academy of Engineering. Named faculty positions communicate the global eminence of our faculty to the world's academic community. They empower us to open new worlds of scholarship and new worlds of study, and to make that impact on humanity that we're all after. These positions are also critical to the retention of world-class scholars like Youssef that we have here at the University of Illinois. So today begins a new day for him, adding this to his name and his business card. One that, and again, a day that encompasses and anticipates the yet many unknown breakthroughs that I know he will pioneer. And again, it's possible through the support of generous donors like the Grainger Foundation. So today is a day to celebrate excellence, excellence in teaching, excellence in research, excellence in service. So, Youssef, would you please come forward, and I'll give you your medallion.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, Dean Bashir, Professor Barros, Vice Provost Jackson. Thank you, everyone here who's attending with us in person, as well as the many of you who are attending online. I'm really honored to receive this recognition from the Grainger Foundation, and given its history of excellence, innovation, and support of the academic enterprise at Illinois. I am really delighted to share the honor today with my two colleagues, Professor Tutumluer and Professor Cai. It's really wonderful to be here. This has been really an amazing journey for me, not only professionally, but personally as well. As my colleague and very good friend, Professor Al-Qadi, has mentioned, and thank you, Ahmad, for the fantastic remarks. And yes, by the way, I visited my parents last week. My dad still has more hair than I do. So I can't do anything there. And my mom says, oh, you know, you don't have much hair. I said, well, you know how it works genetically, you know? So my foray into engineering in general and engineering thinking started in my teenage years when I would accompany my dad and my mom on field explorations in the beautiful mountains and valleys of Lebanon. I did grow up during the Civil War, which was really an awful experience, but Lebanon is a beautiful country and had an opportunity to see many, many different places. It's all because of my dad and my mom. This instilled in me a love of nature. Those of you who know me, I love hiking, as well as geology, which ultimately developed into fascination with geotechnical engineering and civil engineering. So I decided to get a formal education in that field, and I recall being asked during the oral portion of my PhD qualifying exam, almost 35 years ago or so, as to why I wanted to pursue a PhD. And my answer was, I wanted to learn more. And the committee kind of looked at me and says, are you really sure you don't want to be a professor? My answer was an emphatic no. I'm sure you can see the irony there. Well, things started to point in the direction of Illinois when I joined, after I graduated from MIT, and I joined the engineering firm known by Parsons Brinckerhoff. It's currently now known as WSP. And I was hired by the late Dr. Birger Schmidt, who is a graduate of the U of I and a student of the former Professor Ralph Peck. I got to know also Professor Tom O'Rourke, also a U of I graduate, and Professor Cording, who's a faculty member at the University of Illinois, as well as Professor Ralph Peck through various review boards in industry. So this is where I could see the connection between industry and academia in its best light. And so that kind of opened my eyes. It's like, maybe I will give it a shot. Why not? So I interviewed here. I was hired by Professor David Daniel. He was the department head at the time and then became the dean here before becoming president of University of Dallas afterwards, University of Texas at Dallas. After they explained to me the 10-year process, which seemed to be insurmountable, so those of you who are my colleagues who are still going through the PNT, don't despair, I was in your shoes. I thought, you know what? I'll come here, work for a few years. They probably won't give me the tenure, and I'll just go back to industry. It's like, so what? Well, guess what? I received tenure, and here I've been here, so 23, 24 plus years. As you can see, the irony continues. On a personal level, I met my amazing wife here on campus in Urbana, and every day, okay, I'll be honest, most days, I feel blessed to have her love, patience, and wisdom. She's my anchor. Together, we raised 2 daughters who are now thriving in college most of the days, except when it's before their exams, and it's like, sky is falling, but we're very, very proud of you, Sarah and Dina, and I saw a text from them. They are listening in here today. And as Dean Bashir mentioned earlier, and Professor Al-Qadi, they actually gave my investiture speech about a decade ago, and they did an amazing job. I lost my voice at the time. I was traveling, and I was wondering this time, I'm also traveling, will I lose my voice again? Then I'll have to fly them over here again, but we didn't have to do that. So Sue, thank you. Sarah, Dina, thank you so much. This recognition is really a recognition of my past and current students. I see several of you here. Thank you so much for being with me here. Also, I know several of you are online as well listening. Thank you. Recognize all of the work. It's because of you. They help me realize innovative, impactful solutions that are now widely adopted in practice, as you've heard earlier. This recognition is also a recognition of our amazing staff at CEE. We can't do anything without you, so thank you so much for being wonderful and helpful throughout the years. And some of you have been here since I started, so it's been a journey for us together. So thank you so much. It's also a recognition of my colleagues and collaborators. Really, my work, a lot of it is collaborative work with colleagues within civil engineering, within the College of Engineering, Grainger College of Engineering, as well as the outside world, shall we say. And really, I am incredibly grateful. Your ideas, your concepts, your critiques have been also amazing to me. To all of you, thank you, and thank you again, and I look forward to our continued collaboration. This is a celebration of the past, but also the beginning of new ventures as well together. Speaking of that, and as we are saying, this is a celebration of past recognition, the future is bright and exciting. There are so many things we want to pursue, so many collaborations I would like to engage in. Last week, specifically, I delivered a keynote lecture titled Geotechnical Engineering in the Age of Machine Learning and AI. I want to give special credit to Professor Jamshid Gabousi, who really mentored me in my younger years. I had a bit more hair then. and opened my eyes to the relevance of AI, artificial neural networks, and self-learning methods and techniques way before it became vogue. We're talking about 15, 18 plus years ago. In the lecture I highlighted the transformative potential of these technologies. We're at a really interesting time. It's really transformative on our discipline, and not just geotechnical engineering, but also civil engineering and engineering in general. It's really an amazing time to have all of these technologies, especially and including what we hear a lot about, generative AI, aka ChatGPT, Bard, DALL-E, and similar large language models. They will change how we teach, how we do research, and how we practice engineering. If you're not sure why, check. They can pass the professional engineering exam. Okay, so it's just phenomenal what we are facing with and the paradigm that they're going to force us to think about how I think, we probably need to really rethink a lot of the basic assumptions of what we have been doing. I hope we are all ready to embrace the upcoming challenges and, of course, myriad opportunities. Whenever there's a challenge, this means you have an opportunity. There is so much more to do. In closing, I am immensely grateful for my career at Illinois. Thank you so much for this wonderful honor, and thank you all for attending and sharing in this celebration.
Thank you, Youssef, and congratulations. So we move now to our next investiture, the Ben Chie Professor. And I'd like to start by sharing how this appointment came to be. Professor Ben Chie served on the CE at Illinois faculty for 35 years, from 1966 through 2001. He was an internationally recognized leader in hydraulics and hydrology and made major contributions in open channel hydraulics, urban drainage, watershed hydrology, and reliability and uncertainty analysis in hydro engineering. Yen worked with fellow CE professor Venti Chow, pioneering the investigation of hydrologic problems from the perspective of fluid mechanics and the development of computer models in the holistic modeling of watersheds. Yen passed away in 2001, way too soon. Yen's wife, Dr. Ruth Chie, has a PhD in linguistics, established the endowed fund that supports this professorship in 2021 to honor his many contributions to the field of hydrology and to support the faculty that continue this important work at University of Illinois. Professor Ximing Cai is the inaugural recipient of this professorship. And I just wanted to say that last year, as I was working with my student on a paper, we actually read a paper by Ben Yen from 1996, and we cited it in our paper, and the insight that we received from that paper was actually critical to help us resolve an obstacle we were facing. So this is, when we're talking about papers that live a long time, right? That have a life of their own. So that's exactly what happened. So as it is the first time that we are awarding this professorship, we have a shadow box to present to Dr. Ruth Chie, and I would like to invite her and Dean Bashir to join me on stage for the ceremony. And the photographer is going to take a picture.
So this is the shadow box that we'd like to, yes, it's for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dean Bashir. And this is a really special moment, and we invited Ruth to give a few remarks. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and Dean Bashir and Chair Barros. And thank you for this opportunity to allow me to stand here and share my thoughts. This professorship award was established to remember the 20th anniversary of Ben Chien's departure. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank CE Department and Engineering College and your staff helped establish this award, and especially to Professor Al Valoki and Mr. Steve Hall. They helped me in 2020 to do this. And I'd like to specifically congratulate Professor Ximing Cai. I believe Ximing is the best receiver, the best selection as the first receiver of this award. And Professor Cai is very outstanding and has received several awards. Ben Yan was born in 1935 in China in a southern small town near Vietnam. Ben was the baby of his family. He had 3 older siblings. His father was a civil engineer, graduated from Peking University, and earned a master's degree from a university in Belgium in probably 1927. Actually, Ben's family, 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, they are all civil engineers. and only the 3 daughter-in-laws, Ben's mother, Ben's sister-in-law, and I, are not engineers. And so his mother used to joke that there's a bunch of bricklayers in the house. So Ben's family ancestors moved from Shandong province in northern China to Lianping city in Guangdong province. They are the descendants of Yan Hui, one of the Confucius favorable students. And Ben's father is probably the 22nd generation of Yan Hui. Yan Hui was commended by Confucius for his simple and humble lifestyle. Confucius said a handful of rice to eat and a gourdful of water to drink. Living in a mean street, others would have found it unendurable, depressing, but to Hui's cheerfulness, it made no difference at all. Ben often mentioned that he liked to live that kind of life, simple food, simple furniture in a house, and wear the same clothes too. He told me he was probably one of the only 2 professors in the department that didn't use a computer. I do not know how he received and stored all the technical information. He wrote all his papers by hand, and I know the department secretary typed papers for him because he didn't type either. After marrying him, I found we had generation gap. When I married him, I found he didn't have a TV, no internet. Several rooms were empty without furniture. I think Professor Ximing Cai, in this perspective, is the same as Ben, living in a simple life. Ben cherished the natural resources like water and electricity very much, probably because the family experienced World War II in China. Resources were so scarce during that time. All his friends knew that Ben was a night person. If you want to find him, call his office at midnight. He would definitely be there. His office is a home, and his home is a hotel. I started to realize why he didn't need a wife for so long. We both married in middle age. When the first time he took me to meet his mother in Taiwan, I was very nervous. I asked him, what kind of woman your mother wants you to marry? And he said, as long as I marry a woman. She just wants me to marry a woman. And Ben has several hobbies. He loved eating good foods, and he knew good Chinese restaurants in almost all big cities in the world. But he had only boiled noodles with frozen vegetable for lunch every day. He loved friends, always enjoyed talking. He would be the last person to leave a conference room since he was busy with talking. Ben loved folk dancing and the folk music, especially Scottish folk dances. He was pretty good, actually, and also very good with ballroom dancing, too. He enjoyed, UFI folk dancing group for over 30 years. He also enjoyed classical music and jazz. And once in the Switzerland countryside, in a folk dancing group, he met an English writer, Agatha Christie. When Ben was 6 years old, one of his father's friends gave him a map of China at that time as his birthday gift. He fell in love with the geography study of China since then. When he studied that map, he believed China needs new boundary demarcations for its provinces. That was his first project. He said later, when the government redivided the boundaries for the provinces, he found they had similar ideas as his. And researching on hydrology and hydraulics was always Ben's passion. He loved his job. The CE Hydro System Lab was his home. As you know that he served here for 35 years. If Ben were here, he would want to inspire and train young scholars to continue the study and become world leaders. It is very meaningful for me to establish this award to encourage scholars to serve human beings. After Ben's passing, my life suddenly turned upside down. However, as a Christian, I have experienced tremendous peace and protection in the past 20-some years. I didn't realize that I had finished many things, including another master's degree, traveling to many countries, serve as a missionary, remodeling my home, and starting a campus church here. After Ben's passing, a cousin of mine said, maybe there are floods in heaven. So God called him up there to fix their problems in heaven. Maybe she thinks the joke could comfort me, but truly my thought is I don't know where Ben is. Life and death are very profound things for humans. It took me 5 years grieving on his departure. My greatest sorrow was I didn't take the chance to share my faith with him. Both his parents lived a very old age. His father lived up to 102. We thought he had good family genes, and it even seemed that he could live forever. I sincerely pray that the Lord came to him in his last hours and he got saved. What we do in this life is indeed important, yet it's even more important to think of eternity, because there is eternity according to the Bible. Maybe we think about eternity, but we have no time for that. God, finally I would say, may God bless you with faith, hope, and love, and his eternity. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. And it's now my turn to introduce Professor Marcelo Garcia, the M.T. Geoffrey Ye Endowed Chair in Civil Engineering and Director of the Venti Chao Hydrosystems Laboratory, to the podium to speak on behalf of Ximing.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, and thank you, Ruth, for all your words about Ben. It's a little difficult for me to speak right now because, well, Ben was one of my mentors, and I feel this connection between him and now Ximing. Ximing never got to meet Ben in person because we hired him about a year after Ben passed. When Ben passed, I was in Argentina, December of 2001, when I received the sad news, and it was a difficult moment and very, very unexpected because we have been with him at a conference in Arizona only a few months earlier, and it was difficult, and it was also difficult because we were doing so much together in the lab and trying to build up the program. So I want to thank Ruth for having honored Ben with this professorship, and also I think that I agree also with the fact that Ximing Cai is definitely the best person for this honor, for this recognition. Ximing joined us in 2002 after getting his degrees, first from Tsinghua. For those of you that have been long around, Tsinghua, considered the top engineering school in China. They share a lot with us, in particular the auditorium, Follinger. They have an auditorium that is exactly the same as the one we have here. So the quad is very, very similar to what we have on our own quad. And that is because the architect that designed it studied architecture here at the V of I. So we always have had a connection with this school. And Ximing, after finishing there in 1990, came to the U.S. After a short stop at Clemson. He went to University of Texas, Austin, and there he receives his master's and PhD degree. And then he went on to work for the Institute for Food and Agriculture in Washington for about 40 years. And that really exposed him to all the problems related to water systems around the world in developing countries. His PhD had been on the Black Sea, and he had worked on different water resources problems that look at things in a more interdisciplinary way. So this is one of the reasons why I think that this is such a synergy between some of the things that Benji and wanted to do in relation to water, energy, food, agriculture, because Ximing basically embodies all of those things with his research. He is right now worldwide recognized as one of the leaders in water resources systems. And as you all know, our original name was Hydro Systems. And it always has been a challenge to find a person that can actually take together knowledge from hydrology, hydraulics, water resources, economics, financing, development, and put all of those things together. And Ximing is a person. So when we hired him, we were really very, very fortunate to find him. He was a diamond, and what he has been able to do here at the University of Illinois is nothing short of outstanding. We are really proud to have him, and I'm quite sure that Ben Yen will be really happy to know, and I'm sure that he's looking at us, to know that Ximing is the first recipient of the professorship that has his name. I have had the fortune of being here for quite some time now, and I happen to serve on the committee at the campus level on named faculty appointments. So I get to see everybody that receives this distinction like we have today, their dossier, and I'm happy to report that our department, civil engineering, last Monday we had some investitures of some of our colleagues here, and today we have 3 more, Youssef, Ximing, and Erol as well. And I can guarantee you that our faculty are truly the best. The scholarship that we bring, the things that we do, the fact that we have been leaders in the field for decades, and we are going to continue to lead, put us in a very, very special place. So once again, I want to thank Ruth for this tremendous gift that she has made to the department to honor Ben, and I also want to congratulate once again Youssef and Erol, and of course I want to congratulate Ximing Cai, one of our very dear colleagues in the department. So thank you.
So I would like to invite now Dean Bashir and Professor Cai to the podium.
Thank you. It is my privilege and honor to perform the official investing of Professor Ximing Cai as the Ben, Chie, and Professor. I would also like to first thank Ruth for not only joining us today, but for your trust and your investment in our college and this great department, and in our faculty here at the Grainger College of Engineering. Our faculty are world-class leaders, as you already heard, and it is because of generous contributions like that of yours and your families that we're able to invest in our faculty like Ximing Cai. Thank you for the stories, and I really, really appreciate you sharing those with us today. On behalf of the college, let me just say how proud we are, Ximing, of you and your accomplishments. Again, your research areas that couple human-natural system analysis with an emphasis in human interferences in hydrological processes, water, energy, food, system modeling, which is so much more important today than it ever has been, and sustainable water resource management, which again, it's really one of the grand challenges that faces humanity. He's also been, Ximing has been a consultant to several organizations, including the World Bank, the UN, and other international agencies, so he has a very distinct international footprint in his work. And in 2019, he was also elected American Geophysical Union Fellow, cited for forging a new science of hydraulic change, accounting the human dimension, and using it to advance water resource management. So these are the kind of examples you see from our faculty making this just profound and deep impact on the world. So Professor Ximing Cai, would you please come forward to receive the medallion?
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to congratulate to my colleagues, Youssef and Erol, for their great achievements. So I'm honored and humbled to have the first Benji Yan professorship. Thanks, Mrs. Yan, family and friends, for your generous donation, which realized this professorship in our group. And I also want to thank Dean Shahir, Vice Provost, and department head, and all my colleagues for your great support. Thanks for my past and current students for their great contributions to my group. Masano said I did not meet with Professor Yan. That's not true. So actually, I met Professor Yan for the first time at a national conference in 2001. And we had lunch together. At the lunch table, Professor Yan told me, like as a young professional, you need to have an open eye and open heart for all kinds of things. And I told him I did some research on Mekong River Basin, and he immediately asked me, did you read a book about Mekong written by a Japanese scholar? I said, I'm sorry, I did not. You should read it. In 2003, when I arrived at UIUC, I eventually found out that book from the library named by Professor Ben Yan. Beyond his academic excellence, a great achievement of Professor Ben Yan is to promote water resources collaboration among Chinese community and between China and the world. And this has influenced my teachers in China, myself, and my students for many years. Professor Yan was the founding president of the Chinese American Water Resources Association in 1993. 23 years later, I became the president of that organization. And right now, my former student, Ethan Yang, at Lehigh, he is the current president. Moreover, Professor Yan initialized the Crossing Strait Water Resources Annual Meeting, which brought together people from Taiwan and China mainland. And this meeting started in 1995. It has been continued every year, despite the political fluctuations crossing the strait. I heard Professor Yan worked hard on these collections. And so he wanted to talk to people in China during their daytime, and that's our evening time. So he had to stay very late. So then in the daytime, sometimes he came late to the office, and especially for our water resources seminar. And I heard people always thought Professor Yan fell into sleep. But as soon as the speaker finished, he was always the first one to ask questions. So we are here today to talk about the legacy of hydro systems. So I would say my serendipity was Professor Yan, is part of Illinois hydro systems legacy, which was largely contributed by our pioneers, Professor Winter Chow, Professor Yan, and many other people. What is hydro systems legacy? This represents the long-lasting academic excellence. So during my past 20 years with CEE in Illinois, I have observed and participated the growth of the legacy. And we are now one of the largest and the best water resources engineering and science groups in this nation. So our senior colleagues, many of our senior colleagues, not including me, sorry, they are world leaders. So just a few weeks ago, two of my colleagues, Professor Gary Parker and Professor Silva Panan, they were ranked as world top 100 Earth scientists. And it's very rare to find two people in one place. And also our young, middle and young faculty members, they are rising stars. So here I try to be modest, but if my colleagues want to say we are actually the best, I would fully agree. As Mrs. Yan and Professor Massano just talked about our program, the Hydro Systems Laboratory, I remember I was held in 2003. I heard the competition is very intensive, and I never figured out why I was held. And I think one of the reasons is probably I did research on water sustainability. At that time, that was a buzzword. And then my colleague, or some of my colleagues warned me I might have some difficulty in obtaining research funding. I said, what? And then how could I stay here? And then I kind of confirmed. I confirmed my colleagues' worry by 25 rejecting proposals before my midterm evaluation. But fortunately and luckily, I got some proposals. Okay, I got some proposals, and that also proved my senior colleagues their vision about sustainability research, and now it becomes a hot topic. From my heart, I always want to say, I always have this feeling, being one of the Hydro Systems group members is always been my pride. So Grainger professorship sets another milestone for our Hydro System legacy, and I'm obligated to keep the name high for our colleagues, for our university, and for our students. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so thank you, Ximing. And now our final investiture of the night is Erol Tutumluer as the Abel Bliss Professor in Engineering. This professorship was established through an estate gift from Ellen Bliss in memory of her father, Abel Bliss. Miss Bliss graduated from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign in 1911 with a degree in liberal arts and sciences. Early in her career, she taught engineering at a high school in Shreveport, Louisiana. She later moved to Washington, D.C., where she served as a clerical worker with the Bureau of Aircraft Production, and then as an executive secretary at the law firm of Evans, Phillips, and Barker until her retirement in 1962. Abel Bliss Jr. entered the university in 1872 to study civil engineering, but unforeseeable circumstances pressed him to leave before completing his degree. In June 1875, the university granted him a partial certificate in civil engineering. His business ventures included agriculture and real estate, and by 1929, he was a partner in the land development and oil production company of Bliss and Weatherby. I would now like to invite Imad back to the podium to speak on behalf of Erol.
Good afternoon again. It's always a pleasure to give a speech at a colleague's Investiture and celebrate their professional accomplishments. How about if you give too? So let me introduce Erol with my favorite image of him, a smiley face. He has ready smile for everyone. I don't know how he does it, but he can keep a smile throughout the whole meeting. And I bet if you look at him right now, he will have that same smile. That smile is a physical manifestation of the spirit that lives within Erol. He's friendly, thoughtful, considerate of others, and a true team player. I enjoy working with him tremendously, and he embodies the collegiate nature that is required for an institution like ours to continue their innovation and growth. He's intelligent and polite, and his courtesy extends beyond his colleagues and to include their families. Erol completed his bachelor's from the highly ranked Bogazici University and went on to get 2 masters, one from Duke and from Georgia Tech, and his PhD from Georgia Tech. But of course, we're glad that he found his place here at the University of Illinois, the best institution. For those who don't know, Erol grew up in the beautiful city of Istanbul in Turkey. He embodies the Turkish values and the hospitality and respect. When I traveled to Turkey, he made sure to show me the best of his country. I must say, you really want to have a tour of Istanbul with Erol. On a professional level, I have known Erol for more than 20 years in various capacities. His research in designing and building geotransportation infrastructure by applying geomechanics principles to transportation facilities has led to redefining the global importance of geotransportation and the modeling of geomaterials for pavements and rail tracks. Today, Erol is working on cutting-edge research that continues to make a difference in geotransportation, the economy, and the environment in much-needed ways. His research continues to help address the lack of high-quality aggregate material available in many parts of the country and actually in the world. He developed custom-designed advanced laboratory test devices such as the UI fast cell and imaging techniques. He pioneered the nonlinear and anisotropic modeling of unbound materials that I personally use in our modeling. His recent focus on imaging and computer vision for aggregate morphology characterization, and recently, machine vision techniques for aggregate stockpile image segmentation have been groundbreaking and has been already implemented by the industry. I mentioned that Erol embodies a collegiate quality, and an example of that is how Erol shares his knowledge. He has become a highly sought-after speaker called upon to give high-profile talks at many prestigious conferences in the United States and abroad. In the classroom, he's a great teacher and an amazing mentor of our students. Erol represents someone unafraid to work in interdisciplinary capacity and push his traditional education to new limits to improve infrastructure, society, and people's quality of life. He is the 2022, because of that, he received the ASC TNDI James Lorey Prize in recognition for his career accomplishments for promoting the transportation geotechniques, and the ASC Carl Monosmith Lecture Award, among others. He continues to give back to his profession through his leadership roles at the American Society of Civil Engineers and Transportation Research Board, and serving as the co-editor-in-chief of the Transport Geotechnique. These are truly successes, and I know from my own experiences that one of the most special aspects of success is having someone to share it with. And I know that besides the UIUC family, Erol has a great wife, Sinam, who deserved to join this credit for the accomplishments that he had, because it truly takes a village. We acknowledge the sacrifice that you make for Erol to be where he is today and the celebration that we have for him. Today, we also acknowledge his wonderful support system, including his 93-year-old father, whom I had the pleasure to meet, and wish him good health, his mother, his sister, and his wonderful mother-in-law, whom I met also too. Erol, I could go on for about a long time, talk about your research, academic abilities, and contribution to the field of the research in geotech and transportation geotech. I need a little more than the 5 minutes allocated because there is a lot to mention. But I will close with this. Today is surely special for you. It's also special for me. When I joined UIUC faculty in 2004, Erol was just about to be promoted to associate professor. I remember in the early days how anxious Erol was to start his own research program, worried about whether he would attract all the funding and resources needed to reach his research goal. Erol, I never doubted you for a moment. You exude intelligence and relentless effort to work hard. You deliver high-caliber work with spirit, and you are a world leader in this field. You are so deserving of this milestone recognition. I reflected on these memories of your journey as I put my thoughts together, and it brought a smile to my face. I hope it was as nice of a smile as yours. It was also a good reminder of the fruits that come when colleagues believe in each other, something I have been on the receiving end as well. Erol, we are proud to have you among us, representing Chie at Illinois wherever you go. As much as the recognition bestowed upon you today is significant, I'm confident that more is yet to come. And on a separate note, thank you for being a colleague, a partner, and a friend. Congratulations and well wishes for surely bright future.
Thank you, Imad. And I would like to invite Dean Bashir and Erol to the podium, but maybe Erol, it seems like I'm asking for people to come too early.
Oh, that's okay.
We can wait on the side.
You can always stand. I'll keep my remarks short now.
I'm not following.
That's okay. It's so true about Erol and his smile. Whenever I've seen him in meetings, even in difficult topics, he's always smiling. On behalf of the Grainger College of Engineering, we're so excited to invest Erol as the Abel Bliss Professor in Engineering and to recognize all of his accomplishments. His specialties in transportation geotechnic with research interests and expertise in characterization of pavement, railroad tracks, geomaterials, geosynthesis, modeling, and so on. I think these areas, again, are why these specific research domains in our CE department are world-class. His many honors were mentioned by Imad. I think one other I'll mention is, of course, he's world-renowned, and he was also honored with the Yangtze River Scholar Award by the China Ministry of Education in 2016, and the Ximing Distinguished Professor title by Zhejiang University, where we have a collaboration and a campus in Haining in collaboration with Zhejiang University. He also delivered the Ximing Cai Honor Lecture in China in 2019. I think what you also see is how our campus, this college and the department is really a reflection of the world. And if you want to visit the world, you come to Urbana-Champaign and our college. We have scholars from Lebanon, from China, Taiwan, from Turkey. The best people from all around the world are present right here. So we're just so honored and so happy, Erol, to provide you this investiture. Please come to the podium.
Finally, it's the moment I've been waiting for. Good afternoon. It is so good to see all of you here, and thank you for coming. Vice Provost Jackson, Rashid, Anna, Imad, thanks for that great, great introduction. My Illinois faculty colleagues, our staff, students, my great friends, honorees here, Youssef and Ximing, all my mentors and the support system, my long-term and newfound friends, my dear family, and beloved wife, Sina. I'm both honored and humbled by your being here today and watching live this broadcast. I know we're being broadcast. I'm honored because you're joining me is a reflection and affirmation of your support and confidence in my ability to lead in my discipline, and ultimately in my commitment to make a significant and lasting contribution to the advancement of this outstanding and legacy-rich university. I'm humbled because it's reflected in the theme for today that I selected. There were giants back then. I could not imagine myself following so closely the footsteps of those giants, my professional heroes, and those in the nation's top civil and environmental engineering department here at Illinois, while pursuing my dream engineering academic career. I'm indebted to the generous gift by the Bliss family, as you all heard, and cherish the memory of late Abel Bliss, Jr., who entered the University of Illinois to study civil engineering back in 1872. As a civil engineering professor, I'm greatly honored to be listed also among the accomplished university leaders from our Grainger College of Engineering and for being invested here with the Abel Bliss Professor in Engineering. I grew up in Istanbul, Turkey, as Imad mentioned earlier, where I attended Boğaziçi University. This is a premier institution over in Turkey, formerly known as Robert College, the oldest continually running American school outside the United States, which was founded in 1863. And yes, it's even older than this fine institution. Although my BS degree received was in civil engineering, early on in my undergraduate education, and truth be told, I was not as enthusiastic as my mom was, who was happier with my civil engineering major I was pursuing than me. It was the mid-'80s back then, and as you can imagine, it was the time of the personal computers when they were coming. When they were becoming more available, and I was simply more excited about computers and science fiction novels or TV series than what little I had known about civil engineering. Looking back at those days, I realized that the way I wanted to transfer to computer science in my early years, it was, at the end, a blessing for me, since it motivated me to study harder in my freshman and sophomore years. Of course, the major transfer never happened, and eventually I fell in love with civil engineering, which was my true passion. But on a good ending, all the hard work had paid off. When I scored the highest GPA and top-ranked student, I graduated from my class that allowed me to pursue graduate studies. I always remember the fond memory of what I saw in one of my professor's office. Actually, I'd like to mention that this was a NASA flag hanging on the office wall of my foundation engineering professor, who was actually recognized for his accomplishments by NASA for his successful research work on some moon soil samples. Again, Youssef will know who I'm talking about probably. And his PhD advisor at that time, Professor Jim Mitchell, a true legend in the field of geotechnical engineering and soil mechanics, who was at the University of Illinois, University of California, Berkeley at that time. So actually, as a space enthusiast myself, and science fiction fan, I clearly remember the significant impact it made on me when I decided to specialize and pursue graduate studies in geotechnical engineering and apply for higher education here in the United States. So that brought me to the United States, and for my graduate studies, I attended Duke University first. I got my first master's degree there and then pursued my PhD work at Georgia Tech, where I received a second master's degree on the way and my PhD degree at the end. Both schools, interestingly, had Hall of Fame giants in the field of geotechnical engineering again. The engineering library at Duke University is named after Professor Alexander Vesage. He's very well known, especially for his work on soil properties and interaction with construction materials, as well as the use of explosives in excavation projects. At Georgia Tech, I was also fortunate to get to know personally and take several seminar classes with late Professor George Sowers, who was a student of Professor Arthur Casagrande at Harvard University. And Professor Casagrande is, of course, well known for his developing the unified soil classification system that's used worldwide. And his PhD advisor was Carl Terzaghi, father of soil mechanics. I graduated from Georgia Tech with a PhD degree in civil engineering in September of 1995. Pavement analysis, road foundation modeling was the focus of my PhD work, and I had applied for teaching jobs. But what motivated me the most for an academic career was the support of my PhD advisor, Professor Dick Barksdale, and interestingly, the conversation I had with then Georgia Tech president, Wayne Clough, who handed me my diploma and met with my parents and family members as well. Dr. Wayne Clough is a famous geotechnical engineering professor who co-founded the United States University's Council of Geotechnical Engineering Research, as we know, USugar, and served as the organization's first president, and later on became the 12th secretary of the Smithsonian Institution. Doesn't it sound like a fantastic journey with giants so far? Yeah. With my PhD focus on road and pavement foundations, I came to Illinois in spring of 1996, first as a postdoc to work with legendary Professor Marshall Thompson, sitting right here. It was so exciting for me to be in Illinois and work as a researcher in the top-ranked Illinois Civil Engineering Department in Urbana-Champaign, also known as the Mecca of pavement engineering. Although I was a green PhD then, my hard work as a postdoc and my excitement it must have been for pavement engineering research, again, very well received. Well, as a matter of fact, the same year I was giving a job offer for one of the available teaching positions that had opened the same year when Professor Marshall Thompson and late Professor Ernie Berenberg retired after their most successful and decorated careers at the University of Illinois. My feelings back then, as a young assistant professor, could be best communicated by Forrest Gump's famous phrase. You can all imagine that, right? Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. For my professional and academic career development at Illinois, I owe indeed a great deal to our world-renowned senior faculty in transportation, Professors Marshall Thompson, the late Professor Ernie Berenberg, my great mentor here, Professor Barry Dempsey. I learned so much from you all, including the robes of academia. I will forever be in your debt. I cherish the opportunity and our time spent together. Other giants in our CE department at Illinois who enriched my professional development are late professors, Moreland Herron, who worked at the Asher-Roth test way back in the 60s. Professor Bill Hall, Professor Ralph Peck, with whom I have fondest memories again. Also, I can never forget the good advice I received from late Professor Mette Sozen in my early days as an assistant professor about how hard work pays off greatly in this outstanding institution. And everything I do for a career development early on will have tremendous positive influence in my academic journey. In that list, I would like to count Professor Ben Yen, who I interacted very much when I came. He had great advice for me. I truly, truly appreciated all that. The same for Professor Jamshid Kabusi. And just like Youssef mentioned, we owe a lot to him from the knowledge, geomechanics knowledge that he had. He was doing things way back in the 1980s now. We're following up now. Right. One important observation made by my wife, Sinem, was that my academic workload really took a peak after my good colleague and mentor and role model, Professor Imad Al-Qadi, arrived at Illinois in the fall of 2004. Many of us here were here last week actually celebrating Imad's Grainger Distinguished Chair title, which he truly deserves for his leadership and significant contributions in transportation field. What characterizes Imad best is exemplified in what he often quotes: if you want something to be done, give it to the busy person. And yes, Imad, that's you. Imad is that person that gets the job done. I would like to congratulate Imad here once again and thank him for many years of friendship and all the advice he's given me. In research, I specialize in transportation geotechnics, as you already heard, which applies geotechnical engineering and geomechanics principles to building improved and sustainable transportation infrastructure. Transportation geotechnics is all about how to construct rather very shallow foundations of highways, airfield pavements, and those of railroad track structures. These are our lifelines, and they're every day subjected to vehicular traffic loading that is dynamic in nature, and they're constantly exposed to that shallow foundation. Moisture and temperature conditions that are changing. Nowadays, especially, the challenges and significance of transportation geotechnics field are more obvious due to the frequently encountered extreme weather events, such as flooding or sea level rises, or recent snowfalls recorded in San Diego, Southern California, where it never rains, according to the famous song, right? So all just to establish or clarify transportation geotechnics and the shallow foundations. When I started my assistant professor career at Illinois in the mid-1990s, transportation geotechnics field was neither well understood nor it was established as it is today. I often struggled to bring colleagues from geotechnical engineering and transportation engineering in meetings, in social events together to truly appreciate the need for the work at the intersection and the challenges associated with that, again, shallow foundations for the horizontal construction of roads that we always have to maintain. I'm most proud of my career efforts in the past 26 years in this fine institution when I served and took leadership positions on many transportation and geotechnical committees nationwide, as well as those sponsored by international societies. I have always worked hard to promote transportation geotechnics to make it a well-established field. Thanks to all my collaborators, especially those at Illinois here, like me, who have benefited from our fine institution's earned reputation as a world-class leader in research, teaching, and public engagement. Research we do at Illinois is always at the cutting edge of science and technology, and it is second to none. I have been most fortunate to have been affiliated with and working on research projects as part of our two world-renowned centers in transportation, Illinois Center for Transportation and Rail Transportation and Engineering Center. For our world-class world-class research and its successes. I owe a great deal to many of my undergraduate and graduate students. I see many graduate students here in this room who have dedicated always their work and research efforts to our excellence and innovation. Many of them, past students, now graduated, are professionals in key positions. Almost more than half of my PhD students have taken university teaching positions, and wherever they are in our nation or around the world, they're always going for the excellence. I'm most proud of their continued success, and sincerely, I'm thankful to all of them. Finally, a word about international travel, right? All the international statements made. One thing my wife, Sinem, and I enjoy the most is to travel around the world, for sure. This is one of the reasons why I got so excited when I started in 2011 serving as one of the unit's single most, I guess, only director of international programs, right? And that was for our civil and environmental engineering department. Interestingly, I was checking my Google Map timeline, and since 2011, it lists over 300 cities and 32 countries visited. It's been a pleasure to serve in this capacity and establish strong international ties and global outreach to attract the world's brightest students to Illinois and to provide our own students with opportunities to experience technical and cultural diversity. In our CE department, we have established over 20 partner universities with us and facilitated very successful BS plus MS type educational programs for international student exchanges and other collaboration agreements in research and education. Illinois is truly a world-class university, and our competitiveness depends on the success of our global outreach. As I come to the end of my remarks, I am as excited as I was in the mid-1990s when I started my assistant professor position in this legacy-rich university. The same feeling. It's the feeling like a small kid in a candy store, right? I'm full of energy. My continued passion for our discipline is now my greatest thrill of all times with the honor of Abel, Bliss title and the investiture. I'm truly thankful for your support and trust in me. It has been an incredible journey, a true testament to learning from giants, self-exploration, search for what is possible for pushing the boundaries of research, as we have made many strides, great advances and breakthroughs in engineering, science, and technology. One certain thing I learned throughout my time at Illinois is that nothing is impossible. And everything is possible with the sharpest minds, most talented researchers and students we work with in this legacy-rich university. They are the real giants. And we have so much to expect from them, looking forward to our Illinois tradition of continued excellence and innovation. In closing, I would like to congratulate my colleagues, Professors Youssef Hashash and Ximing Cai, well-deserved for the great honor, recognition, and outstanding achievements. Finally, I would like to thank my parents and family members, my wife, Sinem, who has made many sacrifices for my career, as stated earlier. But she never stopped offering her profound love and constant support throughout this fantastic journey. Thank you all for being here with me and sharing this proud moment and the celebration. Thank you so much.
Well, we all feel great, right, after all these great speeches, and it's an honor to be here. So thank you all for joining us in this momentous celebration. And can we just have one final round of applause for Ximing, Youssef, and Erol? As we conclude the ceremony, we ask everyone who was involved in the ceremony to please remain in the room for group photos, and invite everyone else to join us in the lobby for the reception. We hope you'll take a few minutes to congratulate our colleagues and encourage them in this next chapter of their careers, though I feel like they don't need any encouragement. They're all off on their own. But thank you all for coming. Thank you very much.